Hello, everybody, and I hope you're having a blessed day. I was in a conversation with somebody the other day, and I said to him, "Do you remember long time ago they said that we had acid rain?" And I said, "Whatever happened to it?" Now, the conversation came up because I had made a comment that we're only being told what they want us to believe, not necessarily what's the truth, but whatever it is they want us to believe. And I said, okay, so whatever happened with the acid rain? We've never heard anything else about it. Did it disappear? Is our rain fine now? Is it still poisoning us? Is it still a problem? Is it poisoning our plants? Nothing. Never heard anything else about it. Back in the recession, when we had a recession, I heard on the news that in Egypt had such a massive shortage of bread, and they were in bread lines, and people were actually killing themselves because a loaf of bread there had become an astronomical amount. But nothing as to why it became an astronomical amount. No explanation as to overnight why this would happen. And no follow-up, there was no follow-up as to did it disappear? How did it disappear? Were they doing okay? Nothing. We're only told tidbits, and that's it. They don't want us to have the full picture on anything. We're told that we need to stay home, we need to wear masks. And, I'm kind of curious about something myself. Okay, masks are supposed to help you if you have COVID so you don't give it to somebody else, right? That's really what they say it's for. And then you need to stay 10 feet apart. Well, I asked myself a question. Okay, so they've made it where everybody has to wear a mask. And, they shut us down. You had to stay at home. You couldn't go out except, like at the store. And the lines were incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, look at what's happening on the streets. You weren't supposed to have a party and have friends over or barbecue or anything else or go into a public restaurant and eat, but, hey, it's okay to allow what's going on in the streets. Now, they're not telling us that this could be a danger. They're not even telling us if anybody is getting COVID from all of this. No, nothing. Because it's only information that they want you to have and what they want you to believe. And they want you to believe that, hey, there's no COVID problem with all of that. It's perfectly fine. And so we're in a really bad situation because you have a lot of people that are only believing what they're told and not really thinking for themselves. And they're not using their own ability to be able to think and evaluate what's really going on. I mean, it's like, the food crisis. You got people say, oh, it's a hoax, it's not real, there's nothing wrong, we're not going to have food shortages. Well, I have always said that if you live long enough, and you've had times in your life that you couldn't afford groceries. And so there was a food shortage or a food crisis in your own home. And so we have to sit down in our own lives and ask ourselves, what can we do to help ourselves no matter what comes our way? That's all we can do. And not be so misled or believe whatever we're told. Because we never get a full picture on anything. I've said to myself, if masks work, then why do we have to stand 10 feet apart? And if standing 10 feet apart works, then why do we have to wear a mask? Now, these are just things that come up in my mind. Because if masks work, then why the heck couldn't everybody go wherever they want, sit wherever they want, eat whatever they wanted, as long as they wore a mask? If they worked. And if they don't work, then what's the point of wearing them? Now, if 10 feet works, then why don't they make sure that everybody is 10 feet apart? Then there's no problem. Go back to business as usual. So something's not right in my mind when I think about these kind of things. I say this, to me, doesn't logically make sense. But I know most people, they panic, they get scared, which I can understand because, hey, nobody wants to get sick. Nobody does. I don't. But, you know, don't we have flus and viruses every year? And you'll get people that'll run around and argue about where it started, how it got started. Is this a break off from something else? And isn't this intentional? Just to keep you spinning? So that you don't really stop and think about the real issues? Is this really worse than anything else? A long time ago when there was a pandemic, they isolated the sick. They didn't isolate the healthy. And yet today we're isolating everybody, whether they have it or whether they don't. And just because they got it didn't mean they died from it or even was hospitalized from it or anything else. So people gave up everything. Their jobs, many of them stuck at home, kids stuck at home, and for what? They weren't even sick. That's how it used to be handled. Pandemics used to be. Scarlet fever was one of them. They would come out and quarantine the home of somebody that got scarlet fever. They didn't quarantine the whole city, the whole town. Just the people that had it. They quarantined them. And that was it. But not everybody. But all of a sudden, it's changed. Quarantine everybody. Make everybody stay home. So something's not right. Do I believe that food shortages are a hoax? Nope, I don't. Like I have said in many videos, it doesn't matter. If you live long enough, you will have a problem when it comes to food. Because if you lose your job, if you have a car, if you're rich, you don't have to worry about food shortages. Even if eggs went to $12 a dozen, you'll be fine, don't worry. You can afford it. But you've got people right now that could not afford certain things simply because they don't have the money and the prices have gone so high they can't afford to buy it. So to them, there's already, in a sense, food shortages. There's things I used to buy that I hardly ever, it's rare I buy anymore because I can't afford it. It's gone too expensive. But there is a real serious battle for our minds, very serious. And we need to think for ourselves before we find ourselves, actually our minds imprisoned. My grandmother used to say they can take your body and they can do whatever they want, but you're still free if your mind is free to think the way you want to think or what you want to believe or what you think to be the truth. And I've always been one of those, all my life, ever since I was a kid, questioned everything. Why did the red light have to be red? Why didn't they use purple? Or why does the green light have to be green? Why couldn't it have been pink or blue? I was always one of those that questioned a lot of things. I didn't think like other people did, and I still don't. Now, some people might say, well, that's going a little bit too far. But I've always been an extremely, extremely independent thinker. I questioned everything. I did. And sometimes for my teachers, that was frustrating. That I'll never forget. They could become very frustrated with me because I would say, why does it have to be that way? Why? And that's what's going on today. I question what I'm seeing. All of a sudden this comes up now. 8 years ago it didn't. 5, 6 years ago none of this was coming up. Now all of a sudden it is. All of a sudden we change everything. We have had viruses before. Why is this one worse? It doesn't make sense. We're not really being told anything. And it constantly changes. Constantly. And it's true. The more it's out there, the more they understand. So information might change. But it's been out there long enough that if masks work, we should be free to go anywhere and do anything we want as long as we're wearing one. But that's not how it is. So it must be either misinformation, non-truth, it's not true, or something else is going on. So we need to be able to really think independently and always be prepared. Life, like I've always said, throws us curveballs, unexpected things. I think that towards the end of this year, we're going to see a whole lot of unexpected. And you're not going to want to be outside in it. So get yourself prepared. When you're at the store, take a look at what people's carts are full of. And I noticed something, toilet paper. Once again, you got people piled with 2 and 3 huge packets of toilet paper. And I said, so there's a lot of people out there think something's coming. I do too. And so we must be prepared for it as much as possible. It may get so bad you don't want to be on the streets. So it would be better to have as much as you possibly can. And, I've been thinking about a lot of different things of what we could do to help ourselves. Like I take limes, because lemons are too expensive and limes are cheap. You can spiral cut them, cut off the ends of them, wash them good first. Take you a large bottle, one of the bigger bottles. I think it's a 16 ounce or 32, I can't remember exactly. But the bigger bottles, and you want to make sure that it is not pasteurized, honey. Okay? And pour and mix about 15 limes or 10 lemons. Now you can either thin slice them or spiral cut them by starting with the knife, cutting the lime or the lemon, and then holding the lime or lemon with your left hand, the knife with your right hand, and just turn that lime or lemon. Then pour, once you got them all cut, whether you thin slice them or spiral cut them, take a large bottle of honey, pour over it, mix the lime or the lemon with the honey, and then pour it into jars, a mason jar, a big one, and then let it sit on your counter for at least 24 hours and put it in the refrigerator, and you will have enough honey and lemon to do you through your winter months. Nice hot lemon tea, great for, colds, flu, vitamin C, honey soothes the throat, and you'll have enough to get you through it. It's a way to be prepared ahead of time. The limes and lemons will do just fine because honey is a sweetener and bacteria doesn't grow well in honey, so it will keep just fine in your refrigerator for months. Take your chicken so that you can have more into your freezer and fit more. Cook it all and put it in bags. Debone it and put it in bags. It allows you to get more meat and things into your freezer. Make sure that you make a list of what you're missing and try to build up on it before, next month. And try to make sure that you have enough to at least do you for 3 months. You know what your family needs. You know what your family likes. You know what's important. And I will be doing another video giving you more tips on things that you can do so that you can fit more things in your freezer. Like I said with the chicken, if you boil it, it's already cooked. So if money gets tight, gas, you won't have to use as much because you've already got the chicken. It helps. You can do the same thing with hamburger meat. Cook it, buy the big rolls of it and cook it, and then pack it, and it's already ready. There's lots of things you can do. Make meatloaf, wrap it really good, put it in your freezer, it's ready, so that if, you have a situation where you've got a problem, you don't have to worry, you've got some food cooked ahead, and it fits more into your freezer easily, and less cooking to do. But, like I said, don't let your mind become in a prison. Think for yourself and evaluate what you're seeing. You use your mind and stop and think. A lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of what we're being told just does not make sense. Don't allow them to imprison you. Well, God bless you and have a blessed day.